Good evening, and welcome to the John F. Kennedy Forum. I'm Megan O'Sullivan, a professor of practice of international affairs here at Harvard's Kennedy School, and I'm pleased that so many people have joined us for what I am sure will be a fascinating evening. I'd like to begin by thanking the Middle East Initiative and the COCLIS program on Southeastern and East Central Europe for sponsoring tonight's event. And it is a particular pleasure for me to welcome Mr. and Mrs. Socrates Kokoulis to the forum this evening. As you may guess from the name, they are the philanthropists that have made the COCLIS program possible here at Harvard. It is through, thank you, our focus to Turkey as well as Southeastern Europe. So it is particularly fitting tonight that we would welcome such a distinguished Turkish guest. And I am greatly honored to welcome and introduce Dr. Ahmet Davutoğlu, Turkey's current foreign minister. Join me tonight in welcoming our special guest, Minister Professor Davutoğlu.
Dear Harvard University students, honorable faculty members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, as an academician, I would like to express my gratitude to those who invited me here to feel academic atmosphere again. Of course, I am grateful to Dean David Elwood, and I am grateful to Mr. and Mrs. Kokoulis. I will stay in Ankara only 5 hours, just stop over, and from there I will go to Kyrgyzstan for a national constitution meeting, stay there less than 12 hours, come back to Ankara, again 2 hours, and I will go to Syria. In 2 days I will make 4 countries. But now I feel very dynamic after this academic atmosphere. The only problem I have is, just a few minutes ago in the other meeting, one faculty member, my close friend Steve, asked me a question: how do you see the relation between intellectual and political life? I said, in practical sense, I didn't face much problem. What I wrote is like that, and what I tried to implement in politics, in foreign policy, I didn't see much difficulty. But in one issue, in 2 things, I felt difficulty. One was, once after 3-4 years, I became chief advisor. In another conference, I was asked the same question. I told them, in 1 week, we are having at least 5 diplomatic dinners. Now I am doing more. At that time, I was chief advisor. Every diplomatic dinner means 3 hours. It makes 15 hours a week. In 1 year, it makes 750 hours. It means in 1 year, from 9 o'clock until 6 o'clock, 75 days we are just eating. Sitting and eating, nothing else. And I was calculating how many articles I can write in that 75 hours. Now the second difficulty is, whenever I am asked to give a speech, again my biological and intellectual habit says at least 45 minutes, because in class lectures. Now I am adapting to this, but I was told if you can complete it in 25 hours, sometimes in official meetings it is even less, it is sometimes difficult to frame a theory and try to make a speech. I hope I will try to finish in 25 minutes or half an hour, and I will be able to answer the questions. And let me, sometimes in politics we have divided personalities. Sometimes we feel as intellectuals, we have to behave as intellectuals. Sometimes we have to behave as ministers. Here also in this speech, in the first part of my speech, I will make an analysis of the world today as a world citizen, as an intellectual living in this century. In the second half, I will take the role of being a minister, and I will try to answer how Turkish politics is responding to this emerging new world. When we look at the existing situation, after the Cold War in 1989, there was a very ambitious claim that it is the end of history by Francis Fukuyama. At that time, I wrote an article criticizing this concept of history, and I said history begins now, because there was an abnormality in Cold War. Now history will try to find its own way. Therefore, we will be having a long period of crisis, maybe, but history will try to be normalized. What do I mean by this normalization of history? And why do we need normalization of history? And which type of crisis did it create in the last 20 years? In modern centuries, after every war, big war, there was a new concept of conference or peace or some sort of reorientation of international system. Right after the 30th War, we have Westphalian peace. After Napoleonic Wars, we had Congress of Vienna. After First World War, we had League of Nations. After Second World War, we had United Nations. Cold War was a big war as well, a very comprehensive war. But after the Cold War, we didn't have a global consensus or arrangement or a new concept of world order. Therefore, from 1989 until 2001, 9/11, we had a long ceasefire everywhere. Ceasefire in Bosnia, ceasefire in Kosovo, ceasefire in Iraq, ceasefire in Caucasus, everywhere. Ceasefire means an instability, just freezing the crisis. Now, all of these questions are